Welcome to the Painter's Dialectic. I'm your host, Josh Green, a painter and art educator living in New York. And today's episode is a recording of a live event for the Artist-Errant. The Artist-Errant is an esoteric art school that I founded, focused on the spiritual development of the art student and their greater role in society. Creation, meditation, and contemplation are the focuses of the art courses and group events. The courses and events cover traditional practices of artistic craft, creativity, meditation, esoteric philosophy. Today's event is a meditative art event focused on the theme of acceptance. Just a reminder, if you need to grab your art supplies, go ahead. This can be any medium you want. If you want to not do visual art, you could write, you could play music, you could dance. It doesn't matter, right? We're just learning how to bring a meditative mindset into your creative process and also this will also help you carry it into your daily life as well. So if you need a minute to gather those materials, go ahead. And today we're also going to be incorporating a mirror. And for those of you in the live event, if you don't have a mirror, I think you could probably just use your Zoom window. That might work. Okay. And we're expecting people to jump in. And I'm going to post this recording on the Painter's Dialectic podcast. So if you see Kenny right there, he's also a host of the podcast. It's an art and philosophy podcast. This will be posted with the video, so people who missed the event today can do this at home, or you could do it anytime in the future if you really like this one. So just for now, remain muted, and at the end of the session, we'll all unmute and we'll talk as a community. I'll introduce myself. My name is Josh Green, for those of you who haven't met me yet, and I am an artist, an art educator, and a meditation instructor here in New York City. I am certified to teach meditation through Tibet House and Dharma Moon here in Manhattan, and I'm certified to teach art through my MFA from Alfred University. So this live event is a part of an art school or an art community I'm trying to build called the Artist-Errant. It is an esoteric art school focused on the spiritual development of the art student and their greater role in society. Right? So this is an active type of spirituality. We want to go out and do something. So we're going to focus on creation, meditation, and contemplation. That'll be the focuses of all the art courses and group events. These courses and events cover traditional practices of artistic craft, so the technique, and we're also going to focus on creativity, meditation, and esoteric philosophy. So some of you from last time were interested in improving your drawing techniques. I've released a new course called The Fundamentals of Drawing on Artist-Errant.com. So it'll probably take a couple months to work through it. And I've also included into that some foundational meditation techniques geared for the type of mindset you need to work in a focused way. And the fundamentals of drawing is just the most fundamental knowledge that you need. So we talk about pencils and paper. We talk about how to sharpen them correctly for very accurate drawing, how to develop line quality, how to develop proportion, and how to render edges and values. So feel free to check that out if you're interested. Future events, we're going to hold some dialogues. One of my friends is a PhD philosopher in Spain, and he focused on Thomas Aquinas. And I want to do an event with him, hopefully this month, focusing on the representation of the divine ancient Greek society. So that's what we got coming up. later this month. So right now I'm done with the advertisements and we're gonna move into presenting a philosophical perspective. This is very traditional for meditative practice, that the guide introduces a perspective that is the theme of the practice that day. We're just going to do a short 10-minute meditation, and then we're going to move right into the art practice as meditation. That'll last about 35 to 40 minutes. And then we'll open up into a group discussion. And at the end of it, we'll say like a nice dedication. Before I go into the philosophical perspective, when I present this, there's kind of three stages for you. So one is just hearing what I'm saying, right? That's one, just taking it in. And then the second part is contemplating what I'm saying from your own perspective, right? From your personal life experience. So you're taking this generic information and you're making it more personal to you as you're listening. And then the third part of it is actually the meditation process. So we want to view meditation as a way of contacting reality, not a way of separating from it, but a way of getting direct experience from what was pointed to by the philosophy, right? Because I'm pointing to something through my words. Your personal understanding, maybe you haven't quite grasped that, or maybe you've already had direct experiences with it and you don't need that. Or if it's just a conceptual thing, then you need to meditate and directly contact that experience. So that's how I want us to think about the meditation. This is going beyond a concept and, touching reality. Okay, so the theme of today is acceptance. Okay, I'm going to find that real quick. Acceptance is embracing reality as it is. Okay, without resistance or compulsion to change it. Now, this is very difficult, right? I feel like we're always trying to shape and form our lives in a certain way. We're always trying to shape and hold our mind in a certain way. It's very hard to accept many, many things. We have many, many preferences. And I think in Western spirituality, this kind of gets glossed over, except in like Stoic practices. We're always trying to manipulate or self-improve in some way, always everything's off in the future or it's in an ideal, it's not right where we are. But acceptance brings us back right where we are, the person we are right now, the life we're living right now. It is not a passive resignation, but an active, clear-sighted recognition of the present moment, right? So this type of acceptance isn't, giving up or collapsing, right? It's about trying to see things as they are. So all my concepts, everything that's in front of me, my sense of self, all of this, is like my hand is right now. Like these fingers are blocking my view, right? This is the way I want things to be or what I'm hiding from myself. But when I collapse this, now I have a clear view. And this is also why we're working with the mirror today, because the mirror is pretty shameless. It just reflects exactly what's in front of it, right? We want this clear-sighted recognition of the present moment, allowing for engagement with life from a place of clarity rather than conflict, right? So also part of acceptance is we're kind of getting to the seat of war, if you like, or aggression, is the inability to accept things as they are, right? I think in Western spiritual practices, you're almost always in a holy war with yourself or some aspect of yourself, right? And if we, maybe outside of that, just in secular society and self-improvement, if I could maintain this diet, I could finally love myself. If I could wake up at 6 a.m. and run 5 miles, I'd finally be happy. If, my wife or my husband wasn't this certain way, our marriage would be great. If only I could get this missing piece, everything would finally fall into place and I'd be in the place I want, right? So you're in this constant conflict with the way things are. So this type of acceptance is we try to clarify ourselves. We try to step out of our way and be directly with reality as it is. I have a quote from Rumi. If you want a clear mirror, behold yourself and see the sameless truth which the mirror reflects, the shameless truth, right? So as we go throughout our day, our heart, this emotional center doesn't reflect the truth of who we are. It's always hiding things or it's embarrassed about things and won't let them flow. But if we could create a mind like a mirror that just deals with ourselves exactly the way we are, just presenting it with no alterations, then we'd end many of the conflicts and problems that we're self-generating. How is this applicable to daily life? How can we bring this into the world? Well, I guess maybe you guys drive. I think a lot of you drive. It's perfect. It's a great practice. Either you're getting tailgated or maybe you're tailgating someone or you're getting cut off. Or if you're walking down the street, you live in a city and you're behind a slow person. These little moments of the day, or maybe you're stuck in a line at the grocery store. These are all moments to practice acceptance. What you can handle, what you can manage, what's outside of your control, and to accept things as they are. It could be bigger. Maybe you're stuck in a job that you just can't stand anymore, or maybe you're going through a hard family situation, or maybe you don't like the state of the world. How can you get out of your own way and see this clearly and just do what needs to be done? How can I see it simply, right? In the meditation practice, it becomes very subtle. One is just if you want to make progress in meditation, you have to commit to doing it. And usually in the West, this is, meditation's like an Eastern thing. It's very glamorous, but usually a few months in, you see people lose that glamour and it starts becoming very boring. That's the problem with meditation in the West is you sit down and you're doing it and you're going through all these things. You're like, wow, this is so exciting. That's not what it's meant for. Zen Buddhism in Japan, that's just their culture. It's very boring to them. It's supposed to be boring. You're supposed to go beyond boredom and see what lies out there, right? So having that time, I have to accept that I'm going to have to give up a part of my day to do this, or I'm going to have to remember to bring this practice into my day. Also, acceptance is like I have all these thoughts coming in. Well, you don't have to do anything to them. You can if the thought comes in and you touch it, you start energizing it, it's going to link up with other thoughts into a story. And soon you'll be lost in a whole dream, a whole fantasy. If the thoughts come in and you don't like them, then you end up repressing them. And you might be repressing many thoughts throughout your day that go into your subconscious, and then you have bad dreams or they lash out at weird moments, you know? We just want to let them pass through. Seeing them, label them thinking and returning to whatever our anchor is. It'll be the breath for this. Emotions are harder, they're a little stickier, but we can touch them, feel the texture of the emotion, and let it move through us. Meditation isn't being in a blissful, peaceful state all the time. Sometimes you have to sit in anger and let it move through you, or anxiety, or you're really blissed out and don't get attached to the bliss. Let it move through you and go. Not getting stuck, just reflecting like a mirror, whatever is present. So now let's move in to the meditation. I'm going to share an image. So this is the pose we want. So notice that she is not sitting back in her chair. This is important. We want the alignment of the back is very important for the meditation. The way we place our body puts our mind into a certain state. So I'm scooting forward in my chair and notice that her legs are at a 90-degree angle. If your butt's below your knees, you're going to engage these flexor muscles and you're going to be expending a lot of energy. You're going to get lower back pain. If your butt's a lot higher than your knees, you might be engaging your leg muscles. And so we just want, if we sit in this 90-degree angle like this, our body can just rest. Everything's resting. None of our muscles are activated. And we can have a very stable posture. Notice your feet are shoulder width apart. The back is straight, but not rigid. Think of like a young tree or maybe like a sunflower. It's rigid but flexible, right? We're gonna let our stomach open up. And you guys can do this posture right now as I talk through it. We can let our chest open up slightly. And we're gonna let our hands just fall naturally where they do into the center of the thighs. And our neck, we're gonna slightly tuck it so that our neck is straight. Her chin isn't tucked. That's one problem I have. But if we just slightly tuck, that aligns our whole back all the way to her skull. Just a slight tuck. Now, we're not going to close our eyes because this is an engaged type of meditation practice that we're going to bring into an art practice and bring into daily life. We're not separating. We want to keep our senses open. So the pose of the eyes is actually really important. So I'm going to gaze 6 to 8 feet out in front of me. And if you notice, if you look at something there, your attention goes out to that thing. That's not what we want. We want our attention to be balanced inside and out. So if you notice in the periphery of your vision, it's a little blurry here, it's a little unfocused. We want to even out our vision so that nothing is being focused on. It's kind of just a field of light. And as you do that, you'll know you when you get it right when your attention's not going out. And so my eyes are doing the pose right now. It's just a soft gaze. You can let your mouth slightly open and let your tongue rest behind your front teeth in a natural way. And we want to be breathing in through our nose, mainly, maybe 85 or more percent through the nose. And we're going to let our attention anchor on our breath. Now, if you're newer to meditation, you can focus right on the tip of your nose to have a precise anchor. Noticing the air coming in and moving out. Or if you like, you can explore the breathing process and find a focus. Another nice one is your stomach. The rise and fall of your stomach. Now, as we move into meditation, of course, our mind's going to start wandering. Those thoughts are going to come. Back pain might come. If you find serious pain in the seated practice, move, adjust. It's not a suffer fest. But if it's just the normal kind of body sensations, a little bit of pain or annoyance, that's fine. We're going to accept that. And as the thoughts come in, we're just going to label them thinking and return to our breath. If you get lost in a dream, wake up from it, label it thinking, and return to the breath. No big reaction, no big fuss, no angry voice condemning yourself. Just see it simply. I got lost, I'm returning to my breath. And so let's enter into that practice now. Slowly come back. Try to hold on to this mindset. Feel free to stretch your body, stretch your arms. And now grab your mirror. And let's reflect in the mirror for a moment on its clarity. It doesn't hide anything from us. It just reflects simply and clearly what is there as it is. And now you can begin moving into your art practice now. Pose your mirror, pose yourself, begin drawing, painting. All right, let's go for 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. 5 more minutes. Start wrapping up your artwork. Two more minutes. Put the highlights in the eyes. Get the beard hairs. If you're working with any paint, you might need an extra moment to clean up, so you could start cleaning up now. If you have anything particularly messy, right, we got our bell. All right, so let's come back to the group. Okay, before we share artwork and everything, let's just have a moment. If anyone has any questions about meditation technique or any questions about meditation in general, now is the time to ask. Everyone's good. Orly, are you there? Can you turn on your video? There you are.
Hey, I, it got a little chaotic here. I have a water painting question.
Yeah,
One of the most infuriating experiences is that like the brushes, I just shed bristles, like there's barely a brush left when I'm done. I probably have very bad quality brushes, but if anyone can recommend some good ones, let me know.
before you use those brushes,
Yeah.
if they're watercolor brushes, they might have a gum arabic on them. So you get them wet and then you pull on them and you pull until the loose hairs stop coming out, especially the cheap ones. It might take a while. And once they stop coming out, those ones that are there are usually glued in pretty well.
Thank you.
Yeah. So no meditation questions? Everyone's got it? Any art technique questions then? No?
Okay, a meditation question for you.
All
Um,
right.
what were you doing? Okay, let me start with I was gonna send. I
Okay.
feel like I am in the worst possible setup for meditation. I have bright lights on my face. I have a thing just a couple feet away from me, not 6 or 8 feet away. The chair was good, but otherwise, I feel like it's the least meditative space I could have. And I wondered if you were doing anything that if you because I assume in front of a computer you're kind of in the same situation as me. Was there anything you were doing to kind of like try and drown out that noise and the light and the
Yeah,
in the computer
if
setup like
one thing
I
that might
assume was
help with having a laptop in front of you, is if you like, you can turn to the side. You don't have to stare into it while you meditate. You can turn to the side, or you could even move to a different it looks like you have a dark corner. You could rotate towards a dark corner. Um, yeah, sometimes for me visually, because an open-eyed meditation, if there's like really loud stuff, I'll just move it out. But right now my desk is cluttered with stuff, and I have a window right here, and I'm just used to open-eyed meditation. And so it doesn't bother me that much anymore. And I meditate in New York City, so I'm, dump trucks, whatever. You get used to it. And I think that's a good part of this type of meditation is the acceptance, the mental stability through all different types of things. If you need a perfect environment to have that mental stability, it's not going to go great when you go outside, when you try to bring that to the day. So, if there's something really bothering you, eliminate it or move yourself, adjust. If not, just accept it and work with it as a part of the meditation. Okay. So I think that looks like a wrap on that. So, would anyone like to share their art experience with the group or any thoughts, any philosophical thoughts, reflections on the meditation? It's wide open. Okay, shy people. Got shy people.
Okay, I know I'm not shy, so I have to. I'm just gonna sit here being under conviction. You're uh, you're actually describing a lot of my actual philosophy. Like I have struggled quite a lot with like generalized anxiety disorder, and
Yeah,
I've done lots of things, to manage that. But one big one was that my teacher, James, introduced Stoicism pretty strongly,
yeah.
like into my philosophical framework. Because of that, like, um, well, the way that we kind of describe it to each other is like handle every single thing you can be responsible for, and if you cannot be responsible for it, let it go. And number three, like, so that's one, two, and three is you're not as responsible for as much as you think you are, right? Like you're actually responsible for a very little bit of what happens in and around and to you. Anyway, it was just you were kind of speaking my language there when it came to a very stoic approach to acceptance.
Well, I love it. I mean, if you have a specific life example, that would be really useful to the group.
Uh, sure. I mean, okay. I
Nothing
had
over, whatever you're ever comfortable sharing.
well, I'm trying to not make it, get it down to something really useful,
Hmm.
but like, well, one really practical. So I had a pretty bad working situation. Like it was
Hmm.
very exploitive. And I was about 20 years older than most of my coworkers, so I was just watching these kids. No offense to anyone who's like in their 20s, but in my perspective, I was just watching them just work these kids over and me, and it made me nuts and crazy. And uh uh looking at it from it was a, well, what can I is there anything I can do to change it, and am I prepared to accept the potential negative outcomes of me trying to change it. And so, like, to make it short, I decided that there was something that I could do to change it, and I started having like union talks with my younger coworkers, which resulted in me I'm no longer employed there, right? But like,
Yeah.
but also that was fine. Like once I made the decision, once I was like, okay, this is something I can take responsibility for in this limited way. Yes, I'm prepared to deal with the negative repercussions because they're better than just, pardon my French, eating this shit salad sandwich every day. Like trying to do something is better than just dealing with this every day. And so that honestly, like even when it was difficult, you're getting pushed out conversations, I was much calmer and much more chill than when I was just trying to like, knuckle down and get through the day. I don't know. That's kind of a big one, but it really was like, do I want to live like this all the time, or can I change something about it? And so I tried to change something about it. But it was very much like okay, what parts of changing something can I control? What are some ways that could go poorly? Am I
Hmm.
prepared for those? Because that's sort of a lower key version of memento mori. Like my job can also die,
Hmm.
my that kind of thing. So anyway, that's one where really I suffered for longer than I probably should have. But when I decided to bring a very stoic mindset to it, I was like, okay, I can do something about it, and I'm prepared for bad things that happen if that doesn't work out.
Extremely relatable. Yes, sometimes there isn't a way out. And when I've been in situations like that, um, sometimes most of the problems are just your reaction to that environment and that person. Um, and by me eliminating most of those reactions, I had to very carefully watch myself in those environments and stuff. Um, I found sometimes a very reactive, unpredictable boss. Um, at the moment in time, I also had general anxiety. I didn't like non-peaceful situations. And I thought it's okay. It's okay to be in a kind of a shocking situation every now and then, right? And loosen up. And I made the best out of it, But you're not reactive if you're accepting and seeing it clearly. Um, anyone else? Anyone else want to jump in?
Well, sorry for my voice. I'm a little under the weather, but right now I'm going through, well, I'm doing a 3-day water fast, so I'm on the second day. So just kind of having to just sit with all the fluctuations of emotions and hungers and the body doing different things right now. Just the meditation for today was just like a perfect like draw home. You just accept it. So
So can you be more
that's all I got.
specific about like how do you accept dealing with hunger and all the crazy things that happen when you're fasting? What do you do mentally?
Well, so this was like a planned meditation, but I guess like what I've noticed is going on fast and in previous times and this one, like you'll naturally have to go into like a meditative state. So like you'll just find yourself sitting still and either not necessarily like zoning out, but like it's a little bit more natural for you kind of like pay attention to like the breath or like to focus on one thing just so. Not so that other things subsides, but just kind of sit in that moment to, I guess, just be present in the sense.
Maybe
So
you
the
have an
acceptance,
anchor, like we anchor on the breath. So maybe you're anchoring into something to let all these things pass through you.
yeah, more so. And then the acceptance is this is just the journey of it. Yeah.
Nice. Till or Orly, any comments?
I'll try and go.
Okay.
Um, I feel like I've spent whatever time we had in this session to kind of brace myself for a lot of unknowns and stressful logistical things ahead. And I feel like I only take stock of where I'm at versus where I'm going when I have to go to sleep, which usually prevents me from going to sleep. Um, so it's nice to have this moment now in the day, just kind of like, you know, taking a recheck. So I'll share my little um, paintbrush shedding doodah.
All right.
I
Nice.
don't, I didn't quite want to do a reflective thing, but since you told us to, I did it. So thanks. It
You're
was good.
welcome. Thank you. What about you, Till?
Well, I'm all good actually, and just enjoy time here and to explore and see where it's all going, and it's great fun.
Well, thank you. And Till's joining us all the way from Germany today. So
Right,
thank
exactly.
you so much. It's probably pretty late there now.
Yeah, it's yeah, 6 hours, just difference. But, it's all good. So
So
yeah.
maybe we move into something more specific to creating now. Um, for me, um, I'm always moving and changing spaces, so it's very hard. Um, my that means my art practice always changes and adapts to the new spaces. So I went from having a pretty large private studio to now not having one. And I'm I'm accepting that and I'm using it as a creative moment to work with that restriction of not having space anymore. And I found myself getting more into digital art. So I did a lot of digital illustrations. I built this school and planned all these things, right? Working online. Um, I've been going back and I've been keeping a meditative painting um, journal. So I make all these little crayon drawings each day, and I've been making paintings on a smaller scale. But instead of letting that narrative of rent's really high, I gotta move out, um, I'm using it as a creative moment to work with that restriction, right? That's what I have to work with now. That's what's present. And it's been really beneficial um, to shrink and rethink the way I do things. Um, I don't know, Kenny, um, if you had met any things you had to accept about your art practice or being an artist.
Um, yeah, my practice kind of draws along the same lines. That was even like reason to push like crayons and the way I do was just that was the medium that we had growing up. So this was the medium I was going to take into this field of what we were taught to be like fine art in a sense. So it was something I haven't seen before. Um, like you at the time when I met you, we were painting the UWF studio, and from there, studios just kept getting smaller and smaller. I found myself like just drawing like in my bedroom at some point. So, and just to get like once you start doing these shows with bigger pieces, in between, just to kind of keep yourself relevant and show work, you gotta kind of shrink down a bit. So I found myself doing like smaller works now.
Yeah. And you build up a big body of stagnant art that doesn't go anywhere. All my art's in a storage unit now.
Yeah, so the small art definitely like moves. It circulates a lot easier and better for other people to attain, have and for you to some of them like I can give away just like small pieces. It's easier to do like studies or like not to get like caught up on planning a big piece out. Um, the ideas that come as quickly, like throughout the days or whatever like that, you can kind of get them out more. So like you're saying, I like the journal or the or what you're doing right now with the small like crayon drawings. It keeps the mind like engaged. So I think it's very beneficial.
I've noticed in general throughout most of the city, everyone's working very small right now, small paintings, because I think there's no longer the market for the big, and rent being so high, everyone's in smaller spaces. Um, Josh, Joshua, and what about writing a book? I mean, that's a very long, tedious process, right? And I'm sure life is happening all the time. And
Um, yeah, so I'm also having to redefine my process. I actually haven't finished anything long in a few years, because largely because big tumultuous life stuff. Like there just was not the energy for it. Um, and when I look back at what before, I used to just write my novels um in chronological order. Like I started at the beginning and I wrote until it was done, and there's some things to add in there. Like if I realized halfway through the book that I needed another character, I would just start writing that character as though they had been there the whole time. Because I mean, I'm gonna have to go back and edit. But like basically, I would just, and the phrase I would use now is like power through. But at the time, it did not even feel like powering through. Like that was just how I wrote the book. Now it feels a lot like powering through, and I'm really having to. Part of the reason I said I think I found the novel that I'm going to write next is that's not how I used to operate. I would be like, this is it, this is the one, and I do a little planning and sit down and do it. And now to kind of compare it to your situation, I don't need like a studio space, but the space that I have, like in my life, in time, in energy, is legitimately smaller now, and I'm trying to expand it, but also I'm having to figure out ways to leverage it better. So I recently read a book of writing advice, and the author was talking about like just write scenes with your characters, whether they'll go into the book or not, like get to know the characters, because if you don't want to hang out with them, your readers won't want to. Like a lot more sort of introducing play, which was
Hmm.
really, I don't want to say that was foreign to my old process. I didn't need it in my old process. And now I don't know if that, but that's how I really am having to reinvent my approach, after some years of like fallow ground, and it's fun. It's also not getting the book done, quote unquote, getting the book done on the schedule that I would have had for myself before, but I'm trying to like let that go because that's not serving me anymore. So um I don't know if that's helpful.
No, but do you feel like those restrictions have leveled you up as an artist?
uh Not yet, but if I finish something now, like honestly, if I
Yeah.
manage to get to the end of something and it's done and it's finished, even after I've had to reinvent my process and my approach and all that, then absolutely. I mean, so I would like to believe I'm in the process of being leveled up, but I'm not leveled up yet.
And
Oh, wait, actually, that's a little bit of a lie. That's a little bit of a lie because one of the things I'm doing to play is actually more different types of art. I've never really been much of I don't draw, I don't paint, but to try and sort of like loosen up the creative muscles that I know I already have, I'm trying to kind of expand into things that I've always kind of wanted to do and have not done. That's one reason that I'm. You said you can write if you want to earlier, and I was like, the hell I can. I'm here to draw something, no matter how bad it is. Uh, so from that perspective, I do feel like I've leveled up. I did kind of a big marker project that I showed you not very long
yeah.
ago, and the friend of mine that was kind of helping me with that, she was like, "You're not allowed to say you're bad at this anymore. You can say you're slow, you can say you don't make room for it, but you can't say you're bad at it anymore." So from that perspective, I do definitely feel like I've leveled up for sure.
Nice. Orly, you also adapted to the situation today. You know, you brought your kids into the art project. You have three sons, as I remember. Um, so do you have any thoughts about adapting creativity to your life or meditation or working with the restrictions?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the restrictions, I'm so grateful for outside imposed restrictions because uh I just do a lot more focused work, I think, and more honest work when I have very narrow lanes to operate within. Um, so yeah, I do embrace restrictions and I might often arbitrarily impose them and not realize it. But yeah, I would say two voices. One is like, well, I can't do this class today because I can't even find a table to work at, or chair to sit in or, quiet space. And the other part was like, well, that means I'll never join the class and then I'll disappoint Josh and then I'll. So I'm just gonna show up in my like decrepit state and that'll have to be okay.
You wouldn't disappoint me. Oh man. Well, I'm glad you came. I missed you.
Yeah,
I
like
yeah. Um Till, are you a creative? Do you do any art?
Well, actually, I kind of do a lot of art, but it's more like digital
Okay.
art and more abstract actually. Lots
Okay.
of patterns and abstract things, and also you can find it on Instagram.
Okay. What's your
Yeah,
Instagram?
yeah. I what the name is a bit difficult.
You could text
So
it into the chat.
sure,
You use the chat
of
function.
course.
Is it illustration or animation?
Yeah. It is more like figurative art. Um, so different colors and
Okay.
yeah.
Till
So I've
Bogus.
been doing that for I think 3 or 4 years now. Yeah.
Nice. And have you had to deal with any restrictions in your art practice that you had to accept and navigate creatively?
Uh,
Well, you're a digital artist. You're pretty free then.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. Still have to, I still have to accept the invitation on Instagram.
Yeah.
Uh, yep. Yeah, I'm pretty free what I want to do with the art and just let it come out, like to see where it's going. So I don't really have any specific plans. Drawing on some spiritual themes as well
Mm-hmm.
that I believe can contribute to the overall the shape and beauty of it all. Yeah, so very calm and peaceful. uh,
I sent you a
one
friend.
second, I just have to accept.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Um, so yeah, I hope you guys are trying to bring this into your life somehow. Um, I think creativity works with what's at hand, right? It has a lot to do with acceptance. Acceptance is just seeing clearly what's in front of you, the materials at hand, the amount of energy that you have during the day, the amount of time that you have, how much time you have of work, right? Or navigating being a dad, being a husband, being a mom. Um, and maybe there may be some compromises. Maybe you can't do things the old way anymore, but maybe there's new potentials in this situation that you can work with, right? To find an outlet, to bring that artistic voice out. Um, I found when I was doing commission work, commission paintings, which are notoriously annoying. Um, I worked with a lot of, when I was very young, I worked with a lot of interior decorators, and they just called me and they were like, "We're doing a mid-century modern house. We needed like an abstract painting with these color swatches." So, not inspiring work, but I found working under those restrictions and having to deal with these very picky personalities and everything was actually a great creative exercise because when I just get to do whatever I want all the time, you know, you can get locked into a pattern or a rhythm. But life has a great way of breaking those and forcing you into new territory. And I think the creative life is accepting and working with it, right? Creativity kind of is always going beyond your current ideologies and patterns. And I think right now, when I look at what's at hand, there's a lot of fundamentalism, right? People are becoming really locked into their way of thinking. There's a lot of opposition, a lot of certainty, and that's that's real anti-creative. As soon as you get locked into a method, right, then you're just producing. You're no longer in a creative mindset, right? And so I think spiritual creativity is always having an open mind, always having some type of openness to potential, right? Always trying to go beyond and breaking through um, to a new level, right? Uh, any comments on that from anyone? Anyone want to contribute? No? Quiet group today. Well, I think I might push you guys to do these. This is the second time some of us have met now. I'd push you guys, or Orly did a whole class at the Y. So I'd push you guys, maybe this is a moment to commit to making this, integrating meditation and your creative practice together, spirituality and creative practice together. And maybe if you enjoy this meditative process, maybe meditate a few moments before you enter into it. And then also bring that into your day. The creativity doesn't have to end when your studio time ends. Um, you could drive a new way to work, take a different train, eat somewhere new for lunch, talk to someone at work you've never talked to before. Um, just break your patterns, right? And see what lies beyond in your daily life now, you know? Any comments, anyone? No?
Nah, I think your last statement was well put.
All right. Well, I think we'll wrap it up now, and we can do a little dedication of the practice that these dedications, if you're not used to doing them, kind of are an intention. And the point of this one is that our practice doesn't just affect us. That is, that as we advance and as we solve these problems, it affects everyone around us. It affects our environment. And so when we practice, we're benefiting everyone, right? Everyone in our environment. So you can just come back into your body and let's take a breath and relax. And as I'm saying these words, you can say them with me, or you could visualize this. So all the benefits we had from this practice, this special time together, this community, may this love flow outwards. You can imagine it going out, igniting the hearts of all beings, lighting the way to infinite dawns.